But do you try to take time with the people that work under you to bring them along, or
Yeah,
they just doing
absolutely.
their gig? Oh, you
Yeah,
do?
absolutely. We always try to move people up. Like even like my assistant in the office, want to move them up because everyone wants to learn and grow, and you don't want someone who just wants to be an assistant for the rest of their
Yeah,
life
yeah.
necessarily. You want someone who wants to do what you do because they're always hungry for more, and you want to be able to give them more responsibility and more things to do and more things to learn. So it should, that's how I sort of came up, and I realized that you need to sort of foster that environment of, trying to have people, move to that next level in their careers and stuff like that. And it's a good, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Right.
It's not I remember when I started off as a camera assistant. It was a really small community here in New Orleans. So I was like, I want to be a camera assistant, and talking to the first ACs, whatever. And at first they were sort of like, who's this guy, and all that sort of stuff. They didn't want me around, but I stuck to it, and they were like, okay, you're in the club or whatever. So once you sort of show that you were really eager and wanted to learn and were serious about it, and it wasn't just like a whatever, passing sort of thing, they were really cool about really taking me under their wing and teaching me whatever I wanted to know.
That kind of community where you bring each other along.
Yeah.
So now moving up the ladder to the director position, now the DP works for you, and you've got all the other responsibilities associated with it. You've got to take care of actors. Could you talk about the responsibilities?
Yeah, I remember the first film short that I did when I was, I think it was right before I started AFI as a director. I was like, okay, well, I haven't really directed much because I mainly was a camera assistant and a DP. And I remember the first short that we did, like the first shot, like it was a little boy, and the story about a little boy and his dog. And we were there on set, and the makeup person came and showed me the kid, and he was like, okay, he's ready. What do you think? It looks good? And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about makeup. And then I'm thinking, like, afterwards, like right before we set up the shot, I was like, man, that kid looks like he had a lot of lipstick on. Like, why should a little boy have lipstick? It just looks really weird. It's a bad makeup job. Like, someone's got to tell him that. Someone's got to tell them that's got to change. And I realized at that moment, that would be me. So that was sort of the first learning experience. And honestly, like when I was, to step 1 second back, when I was a DP, like the first thing I'd ever shot was a feature. Actually, I had some friends that went here to Loyola, and I was at UNO at the time, and they had a CP16 film camera and everything. So I took a class so I can rent the camera, and we made a film together. And that was the most awesome learning experience, because here we are, we're making a film. We found someone paid a few bucks. We had like $20,000 raised from one of the students' families or whatever. I guess they had a little money, and they wanted to help us out. And that was the I learned more in the first 3 days of shooting a feature than I probably have still ever learned in my whole career.
Really?
Because
you had to figure it out.
Yeah, you had to figure it out, man. It's like, well, no one else is going to tell you how to do it. You gotta light it. You gotta figure it out. And you have to keep to the schedule, or you're really screwed.
Right.
So that was a really important thing. So I definitely encourage everyone to just go do it.
So the skill set for a director would include what?
So a skill set for a director, and I haven't done a whole lot of films, honestly, because as soon as pretty much right after I graduated from AFI, and I made a couple of shorts, I'd started being a producer right away. So I have a limited experience in that, but basically, it's it's knowing how to talk to actors. That's a really important thing. Really getting what you want out of them, and that's a whole particular breed of people who have their own ways of sort of, they have their methods and the ways of doing things, and it's difficult sometimes to know how to get into them. I mean, basically, what I would just basically talk to them about is like what I really wanted out of the scene, and not trying to be too fancy or artsy about it. Just like, I want you to do this and whatever, but not trying to give them their lines and the way that, don't have them read their lines exactly. Don't read their lines to them. Like, don't like act it out for them. They don't I know they don't like that.
Yeah, right.
So they want to figure it out themselves, and that's a whole process. So it's that, and knowing, basically how you want to tell a story, first of all. So you'd start off with storyboards or a shot list or whatever. after you get a script and a story that you really
So
like.
you really could sketch out the whole thing, do it Alfred Hitchcock style, and every scene is
Yeah,
sketched.
exactly. Sometimes you do that if it's a complicated scene, or sometimes you just write a shot list. I know I need a wide shot. I know I need a close up. I know I need a cutaway, whatever, an insert shot of some
And you
object.
design that list. You create that list
Yeah,
as a director.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you are working with the cinematographer to get to talk about the mood and the style of shooting. If you want it to be the look of the film, whether whatever that might be. If you want it to look really soft and pretty, or really harsh and gritty, or whatever. There's so many ways you can obviously do it.
Wouldn't certain DPs be better for one way than the other? I mean, don't you have a style?
Sometimes. I mean, that's one thing that's kind of not good about the Hollywood way, I guess, because Hollywood is very easy to pigeonhole someone into, like, okay, you're the comedy guy, you made a comedy movie, that's all you're going to do is comedy movies.
I see.
And
People hate that.
well, I mean, like, I'm the type of person where, like, I did a really gritty kind of reality film for my thesis film that actually got me into the reality sort of world.
Oh, yeah.
But I also did like a cute little kids film. So I like to, people have more range than just one style. Some people want to just be comedy directors. I'd like to do a little bit of everything,
Right.
So yes, I mean, generally you definitely want someone who you look at their, like, for a cinematographer, you look at their reel and you want to know that they can do what you want them to do. So it's generally you'll say, like, okay, this guy can shoot in this style, and that's a style that I like, or he has a cool sort of eye.
Who's somebody you admire right now that's a great DP, a great cinematographer? In movies, whatever.
Probably my favorite would be Roger Deakins. Is a great DP. I worked with him once on Dead Man Walking, and he was a pretty cool guy. And
What makes him great?
Well, it's just his exactness of how he shoots. He shoots a film. He knows exactly what he wants. I don't know. Working with him was really cool because he's the type of DP where he would light a scene with one light. Like I remember this one scene that we shot for Dead Man Walking, and we're just in a room with Susan Sarandon in a room, and there's a 5K, which is a light that's about this big, and he just bounced it off of a board and cut it with a bunch of flags, and that was it. That was the whole scene. And it was a really important scene in the movie, but he just sort of did it like this, and he didn't even look at his light meter. He knew exactly what the film stop was going to be, the exposure was going to be. He's like, I know it's a 2/8/4 split. He'll check it just for the ceremony of doing it. That's right, okay, and shoot the scene. He just knows his craft so well, and he's one of those types of DPs that just knows how to tell a story visually. It's a whole, another layer to the film.
Right.
That is more than just the characters and the script or whatever. It's a visual story.
That makes you a better director in a sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, go back.